Hello, welcome to my channel, and thank you to all my new subscribers. I'm making a mini faux enamelled coffin box. I've got this wooden coffin which I bought from a little shop called The Works, and I'm just going to paint it white just to get a base coat on this, just using some acrylic paints. I think I also got that from The Works. I'm literally just going to put a coat of paint on it, and I'm going to do that all over. Usually these are put on with just kind of pins, but I've just noticed these have actually got screws, so I am going to remove this little clasp. Just unscrew it. And take that off. It makes life an awful lot easier. And I'll do the same, I'm presuming. Yeah, that one also has screws. Lovely. Okay, the paint's all dry now, and I found these really nice napkins just in the One Below store. They have these foiled bats on, but a cautionary tale, because when I opened the packet and opened the if I can actually get this one open, the napkin, I found that the foiling is literally only on a quarter and not anywhere else. So effectively, if you want foiled bats, you can only use a quarter of it. Luckily, I'm only covering the edges of the top, because I'm going to put something else on here, and the base. So there's 20 napkins in there, and I'll find something else to do with the rest of the napkins. That'll be fine. So I'm just going to open this, and I'm going to cut out the quarter with the foil on. Okay, right, so these are a 3-ply napkin, so I need to take off one, and this is always the hardest part. There we go. And I just want to be careful here, because I don't want to rip my design, especially as parts of it are slightly embossed. Just peel it gently away, and I'm left with one ply. Now, so I don't need too big of a strip, so I'm just going to cut a strip off, give myself a little bit of room. Oops. Oh, I think I need to get some bigger scissors before I carry on doing anything else. That's better. Right, so I'm going to cut another strip here. And I might as well cut another one, because I think I'm probably going to use at least 3 strips. Cut some more if I need it in a minute. Okay. Gosh, could that be more wonky? I don't think so. But it fits, so that's okay. Okay, what's happened to my brush? Okay, right, I've popped some, this is bookbinding glue, and I've just put a little bit in there, and it's got a little tiny bit of water with it. And I'm just going to paint this onto the side. Right, just putting some glue on. Right, I'm not worrying about it overlapping the top or the bottom. I will sand that off. I'm just going to take that edge around, and I'm giving it a coat of varnish over the top. And I really don't mind if this wrinkles. I quite like that effect, especially with this paper, which is just as well because it is going to wrinkle a little bit anyway. So I'm going to carry on going around. So the only thing to be wary of is that with the lid you've got to make sure that your bats, if you have a paper that's oriented, make sure it is facing the correct, the correct way. So I've got a little pink bat there. I'm going to just try and line up the wings. Watch my fingers sticking. I'll bring that all the way around. And I'll carry on going round. Okay. I'm going to let that dry for a little bit, and then I will put some more glue over the top. But that's how it looks so far. I'll get rid of this in a minute. Okay, this has dried a little bit, and I've just got a wet paintbrush or a damp paintbrush, and I'm just going to tear that little piece that's extra and smooth it down. You can hardly see it. And if you can, try and put your joins on sort of a sharp edge. It's much easier to disguise them. And if you can't, then try and tear the napkin. Again, a ragged edge is much easier to disguise. So I'm going to let this completely dry, and then I'll be ready to file off any excess. Okay, now's time to deal with the extra bits. I've just got a nail file, and I am literally brushing it against the very edge . And I should be able to tear off. Keep going. I'm going to do that all the way around to the top and the bottom. So you get a really nice clean edge. So I'm going to carry on doing that. Okay, these pieces are now finished and covered. The painted this surface, and I want to cover this now. So I used an AI program to create two spooky girls, kind of dolls really, and I need to choose one to put on top of the coffin. I've just made a template roughly of the size. I think I'm going to use this little pink one because there's pink on the bats. So I'm just going to roughly cut this out. And then I have to just line it up with the top of the coffin, make sure it actually fits. I made the shape bigger than the surface. So now I'm using the bookbinding glue, and I need to spread that thinly over my surface, and then I can bond the paper to it. I've actually put far too much glue down on here, so I'm going to cover the side of the box with the excess just to get rid of some of it. If you use too much glue, it will soak into your paper, and that's what causes it to ripple and wrinkle, because the paper fibres just swell. So you need to use enough to stick it, but not too much that it soaks in. So once my surface is covered, I can place my image down and make sure that I actually get all of the image that I want within the lid boundaries. And you can see I am getting some rippling. That's because I put too much glue on there, as I say. And this paper is quite thick, so it does absorb it. It's just a copy paper with a laser print. So now I'll leave that to dry, and I'm not worrying about the rippling. I'll show you why. So this is completely dry now, and I don't know if you can see, but the rippling has calmed down quite a lot and has become quite flat. There is some, but it's as the paper dried, it contracted and the fibres got shorter and the rippling just lay flat. Now all I need to do is remove these excess pieces around the edges, and then I can varnish it and apply a top coat of resin. So I'm just using a nail file, or a paper file actually, but it is a glorified nail file, and I'm scraping away from my image. If the paper does not tear easily when you go to pull it, then carry on filing. It's a thicker paper than the napkin that I used, but I am using exactly the same process. Okay, almost finished. If I've accidentally scraped any of the napkin off the sides, or there's any part of the box that is exposed, I'm going to use some black acrylic paint, sponge that around the sides. I use a baby white. This is a damp baby white. I'm just going to take a tiny bit of the acrylic paint and I'll run that around the edges. That will disguise any parts of the box that might have become exposed when I was filing. And then I'll run around the edge of the top just to give it a bit of a frame. And then I need to set this aside now for the paint to completely dry. Then I can varnish my piece so that none of the resin will soak into my image. Okay, I've given these a coat of varnish all over and sealed this because I'm going to be putting some resin on it, and I don't want the resin to seep into the paper. I've also found this pink felt, so I want to put that just inside the bottom of the base. So I have a piece of parchment paper, just baking parchment. Just going to mark out a template following the inside of the lid, and I'll cut it just inside these lines. Just going to cut it on the line, but just on the inside of the line. I can always trim some more off should I need to, but I can't add it on. Okay. Right, let's see if that is any good. That looks pretty good. A little bit off there, I think, but I think it'll be alright. Okay, so I'm just going to move that out the way. And now I have my piece of felt. Let's see if I can line up one edge. That's one less edge to cut. Sorry, get that in shot. So I'm just going to mark it again on the back using my pencil. Take that tiny bit off. Yep, I think that will do. So I need to glue this in now, and I am just going to use my bookbinding glue. So I will put a tiny bit in the bottom, and I'm just going to use a foam brush for this because it's what I have handy. Spread that out. There we go. And I'll just leave that now to dry, and then I'm going to just put some silver along the top here. I just have some acrylic varnish in this bottle, and I am just going to paint the raw wood on the insides of the coffin. Just want to seal that, and I will do the same to the lid as well. I was going to put a silver marker on here until I remembered that actually the hardware is gold, so I'm actually going to use a gold marker instead, and it's the Diction ones. So I have put some varnish on these on the wood first, and I'm just colouring it in using the marker, and I'm going to go ahead and I will do that to the rest of them, top and bottom. Now I'm just going to use Diction high viscosity UV resin to put a thin coat over the top and cure it. Then I want to add a little bit of some glitter to her hat. Actually, I might do that first and then I will add a coat. I want to use this. This is the lid from a bee pot. I've already made that in another video, and I'll link that up the top there. So I just want to make the bee itself. I think I might use some mica powders to create the bee, and I'm going to probably do it out of UV resin just simply because I'm impatient and I want it now. So let me just get my stuff together and I'll be back. So I just have an eyeshadow brush and I'm just using that to apply some gold mica to my bee mould. I'm going to get a cotton bud, and I've got a little bit of alcohol here, and I'm just going to try and clean up any areas that I don't want the mica to be. So now I have this blue to do the wings, and then my plan is to use clear for the wing, and then pour the rest, the body and the legs, with a black. In the meantime, I'm just going to pop this blue mica on the wings. I'm going to try and use the high viscosity resin because you can see on the mould there's nothing to stop the resin from running everywhere. So I'm hoping if I just get my torch so I have a UV torch here. Probably need new batteries in it actually. So I'm hoping to just create a little dam of UV here along the edge, and by using the high viscosity I'm hoping it won't run where I don't want it to go. So I'm just putting a blob there. Oops. And I'm going to use my micro brush to sort of put it where I want it to be, and I'll set that now. That's probably enough. Let's try the other side. See, it runs down into the legs as well, so I'm just tilting my mould away from those areas. So I don't mind if it runs down into the wings, but as I say, it is thick, so it shouldn't run too far anyway. Let's create that dam there. And then I can cure that too. Now I should be able to just fill up the rest of the wings. Just get the resin into all the little corners. And I'm not scraping the bottom because I don't want to dislodge any of the mica powder that's currently there. Just add a little bit more to get rid of that lump that's in there. Right, I'm going to use my torch now to do that. I mean, my lamp. Okay, so I have those done now. And I got some black arteza mica, so I am going to try, actually I'm going to use the medium viscosity instead of the high now. So I have the Diction, this is just their medium viscosity, and I'm going to use some of this black mica, not a lot, so I'll do it in multiple layers, and I don't anticipate this being as dark as I'd like it to be, but that's okay. I will use a black pen on the back once it's cured. So let me just pop some resin in here. It's very cold today. It's gotten particularly cold for early September. I know our weather forecasters here make a lot of, as soon as you hit the 1st of September, they consider it to be meteorological autumn. And as my birthday falls within the first week of September, I maintain that I was a summer baby. Dog days of summer, but definitely a summer baby. And as much as I love autumn, I am sticking to that. Right, so I'm mixing the mica in. Now, like I say, I don't want too much mica in here because it's UV resin. You've got to get the light through it, otherwise it doesn't cure. So let me add a little bit more and make sure that's not too strong. Yeah, you can see through that, so that should be okay. Right, let's drop some of this black resin, and I will do it in layers. Right, let me set that first. So I've also cured it from the underside as well. Let's see if I can get some of these little legs. Just trying to guide the resin into these very narrow channels. Don't know how well that's going to come out because it's going to be very thin, so I'll have to be incredibly careful. A bit more in the body. Do that and then I will give it the last. Now I need to see if I can get this out of the mould. Okay. Right, I think, yes, I do have it. And there it is. I'm quite happy with that. I think I'm actually really happy with the black too. I don't need to colour that on the back. It feels like it's all set. Here's my, I haven't put the hardware on it yet, but the little bee will be going on there, like so. So all I have to decide now is, do I want to put anything more on the wings? I might glitter them a little bit. I still need to add another coat on here, and then the bee will stick on. I think actually I'm going to have to put a coat of resin on this anyway, so I'll see how I like it once I've done that. So I'm just going to get, this is a silicone mould that didn't work for me, so I just used the back of it for a paint palette and all kinds of random things. Right, so I will put my, I should have a brush somewhere. There we go. I'm going to put my resin on here. Just a tiny bit, and I'll spread that out using my brush. This is a paintbrush that I've dedicated to UV resin. It is a little stiff at the moment, but I've put it in a really dark plastic bag and put it in a box so that no UV light gets to it and hardens it. Little bug there. Okay, so that's the wings done so far. So I think I will put something on there. I have some of this laser powder. Just wondering if I can maybe drop really minimal amounts on there. Maybe even just what's in the lid. Let's have a look. I don't think that actually wants to come off. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but I haven't set it yet, but I've literally just put, I can't tell if you can tell, there's really minimal, they're very sparse amounts of the laser powder. So this needs to be set now. Let's do that. Oop, move my brush. Okay, so I've set that on the not leaves, what are they, wings. I'm just going to pop a little bit over the rest of the bee. Have my brush again. I just have a little alcohol in here, and I'm just rinsing the brush that I've just put the UV on with into the alcohol. And I have a baby wipe, and I'm just going to take the rest of it off. Good to go, and as I say, I'll put that in a dark bag just in case there's any UV left on it. I don't want it setting. Back in a minute. So I have my bee now, and this has had 4 coats of resin. I am getting sort of little fish eyes. I don't know whether it's something to do with the acrylic spray that I used, but I can't get rid of them, so I'm going to live with it. And I'm going to use this B7000 glue that I have to stick this bee down. So I'm going to put the glue just where the black body is, and I'm going to use some UV resin under the wings because they are quite transparent. So I think the resin hopefully will grab until the glue can go off. Let's hope so anyway. Alright, so push the bead down, and then I am going to set that. Because I covered this box, I've covered up the holes, so I've been putting these clasps back on, and I've realised that I've actually put this on the side that should have been the centre clasp. So I've made new holes and completely changed the way or the direction that this is going to open. To me this makes more sense. It opens like a book. That makes more sense to me. but it would have been the other way around. So I now need to make new holes and put the clasp on as well, but this is what it's looking like. As you can see, I have got some fish eyes, and I don't know if you can see, but despite being cured for an inordinately long time, it wasn't completely set down here, and I've put my fingerprint in it. That is a sign of authenticity. This is my maker's mark, if you like, and that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So just got to put the clasp on now. Oops, no, don't flat edges together. So I think that's the base, that's the top. Put the flat edges together and line them up along the edge of the box. So just hold that in place for a minute, and I can use just a sharp screwdriver to make the hole. And get the screw in. And the other screw. Right, just got to do those 2 final screws, and then I will show you photos of when I finished. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this, and let me know what you think about it in the comments, and come back again next week to see what else I'm doing. Thanks for watching. Bye.